From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up, wake up. WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up War Chant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up. That's usually what we yell when we start off Wake Up War Chant. This is a special edition of it, but we are doing this on YouTube live at, 3:38 p.m. I'm Aslan, joined by Corey Clark. On the top of your screen, at the bottom of your screen, Ira Schofel, 5-star Ira Schofel, is pointing at the wrong side of me. Lots of good stuff to talk about as we wrap up week one of preseason camp. Again, this is a special edition of Wake Up War Chant, which is always proudly presented to you by Zaxby's. I'm sure we'll talk about that plenty throughout this program today, though. But Ira, first off, lots of good stuff going on right now at warchant.com. I guess let's brag on Corey real quickly. He's given us some sunshine, some positivity to carry us through the weekend as week one is wrapped up already, right?
Yeah, I like how Corey wrote a story about the offensive line and how everybody in the inside the program is fired up about the offensive line, no matter what the rest of the world thinks, and kind of explaining why it might be different this year. My favorite response, one of the first responses on the Tribal Council, was, "Bold move, put your name on this story." I don't know if the Tribal Council is universally behind this sunshine yet, but look, I mean, all we can write about is what people are saying, and they seem to be pretty excited, right?
Yeah, I mean, what else would you want to say? Like, well, guys, you thought it was bad last year. Oh boy, hold on to your butts. They lost. No more Dickerson. We don't know about Minshew. Eberle, like, it's going to be a nightmare. If you thought last year was bad. And I do think that, like, we think it's going to be the same Florida State offensive line or worse, but it isn't. They're not the same guys. It might not be any better, but they're not the same guys. They're a whole different crop of dudes, and it's a different offensive line coach. So you got to hope it's at least marginally better.
Okay. All right, well, very well then. Check that out over at warchant.com. If you missed out on the flash sale, shame on you. You missed out on a $75 e-card to adidas.com and a $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold, but you can still get all the great information. Go ahead.
Actually, breaking news, Aslan. It's actually Gene extended it a little longer.
What? Crazy.
Gene Williams,
crazy.
The benevolent ruler of warchant.com, Gene Williams, is he extended it a little bit. So if people haven't signed up yet, if you're a new subscriber, or if you had a lapsed subscription, or if you're a monthly subscriber and you want to go to annual, there's a package there as well. But if you go to warchant.com, there's a promotional page which explains it all. But I think for reals, it'll be over at some point today, but people can still get on.
All right. Well, for our existing longtime subscribers that maybe don't get anything out of it, just know that we love you more. At least I do. Can't speak for everybody else on the screen right now. But with that said, again, this is a special edition of Wake Up War Chant, Renegade Express edition. So we're taking everyone's questions off the Tribal Council. We might jump into the YouTube since we are live on there right now, and maybe take a question or two from the folks watching us on there. But with that said, let's go to the glory that is the Tribal Council and start off with our first question of the day. It comes from Enol_2000. He says, "Wake up or stay awake if you're already up. Whatever works. It's your show. Do what you want. All right, so I'm not a coleslaw guy, so I was hesitant to give the sensation sandwich at Zaxby's a try." Say that one 5 times fast. But gosh dang it, to quote Kendall Browse, that was the bomb. Good on you, Zaxby's, and good on you, Aslan, for the suggestion. Hashtags Zax is the truth. Corey's pumping his arms in the air right now. You can't see it, but he's excited. Anyhow, his question: with the ACC network coming, there's always the discussion of money distribution between the universities. Are the schools free to use the money as they see fit for their athletic programs, willy-nilly style, or are they only allowed to allocate it to specific projects within their athletics departments? He adds, "If I could be so bold to make a suggestion or two, any chance we could fund an Alabama-style Bama-style nutrition program, or possibly begin a program similar to Clemson's keep a first-round pick in school for their senior year program?" Just my thoughts. I'm glad you're here right now, Ira. This is kind of your account when it comes to dollars and cents and the machinations of conference revenues and things like that. When the money does come in from the ACC network 3 years from now or so, can Florida State do whatever they want with that money, or does it have to be earmarked for specific projects?
Yeah, no, it just goes straight into their operating budget, and they plan it for it accordingly. The conference will tell each member school before the year, look, this is about what we expect. This is what you got last year. Like last year, say they got $31 million or $32 million, maybe in a year or two, or when the ACC network money really starts rolling in, say it's $35 million or $37 million. they'll let them know ahead of time, this is what we project. And then at the end of the year, they'll actually get the check that tells them exactly how much they got. But yeah, that money is long spent. They put it in their operating budgets, and they use that money to pay the bills. Conversely, I don't think the big concern from a lot of fans is what Florida State's spending the money on. It's making sure that these other schools like Wake Forest and Boston College and Duke or some of those schools are putting the money into football. If that's where the big money is going to be made from the conference, you want to make sure that everybody's pouring as much of that money as possible into football and not spreading it into various other programs or just all in basketball, which doesn't bring in as much money. But yeah, they can spend it however they want.
So there won't be an edict about, hey, you have to spend this amount of money on football?
I don't think so, man. No, there's not. Every school can do what they want. Now, ultimately, if a program is so they can be encouraged. And I think a lot of schools got that message in the last 10, 15 years that, hey, as revenues switched, it used to be, there was a time 25 years ago when college basketball brought in more money than college football, but those days are long gone. So there was a switch with the conference where John Swofford started encouraging schools to put more money into football, the schools being those basketball schools, but they can't make them. Everybody's going to spend it however they want.
All right, well, hopefully it goes towards football if you're a Florida State fan, right? Let's go to the next question over on the Tribal Council. This one comes from a user who actually phonetically spelled his name out so we don't mess it up, Axburka. We appreciate that. His question is, I will set the line at 3.5 for wins going into Clemson. You taking the over or the under, and why? Thank you. Also says he loves the music choice for the podcast. Corey, I'll let you pick the song for today's show. So if you like today's song, it's because of Corey. All right, so 3.5 wins going to Clemson week. Boise, Monroe, Virginia, Louisville, NC State. That's 5 games. Gentlemen, over, under 3.5. Corey.
I guess I'm the optimist. I think I'll go over. I think they're going to be 4-1. But, look, NC State and Louisville, I know, especially Louisville wasn't very good at all last year. But NC State's not a win. That's a 50-50 game, in my opinion. That's a coin flip game. Obviously, I think Boise and Virginia are kind of coin flip games. So now you're saying they're going to win 2 out of their 3 coin flips. So I guess that's what I think they're going to do. They're definitely, I feel like, going to lose at least 1. But long way. I'll go over. I'll be optimistic right now and go over.
Okay.
That's a good number. 3.5 is a good number from Axburka. Was that Axburka? That was?
Yeah,
that's a good number. I could go either way. Really, honestly, if you put a gun to my head and said you had to go with 4 or you had to go with 3, either way, I think I'd feel the same. I wouldn't feel any more confident either way. I think Virginia's going to be a really tough game to win, and I think they can beat NC State for sure. But it wouldn't shock me if they lost. I would, if I had to pick one, I'd say over, but I wouldn't put a lot of money on it.
I like the way you said that, Ira. Like, either way, 4 or 3, I probably have the same amount of confidence or lack of confidence in both of those numbers. I guess, my character on the show would probably go ahead and say under, just to be skeptical and cynical about things. I think Virginia, in terms of, difficulty, I think it would go Virginia game, Boise game, then NC State for whatever reason. NC State just always plays Florida State tough the last few years. Ever since the 13 thrashing, pretty much. But you beat Boise. You beat Boise. How about this? I'm not gonna. It's not a hot take. You beat Boise, I'll take the over. If you lose to Boise, I'll take the under. So that was a cop out. Like
what
that
are they
one,
going
don't
to
you?
do? Are they going to beat Boise or not?
I don't know. Phil Steele, who told us on the show earlier this week, thinks that they are going to beat Boise. So Phil Steele said so. So there you go, folks.
That's nothing to worry about.
All right. Next question comes from a friend of the program, Maxwell Gibbs. Nuck if you buck. That's what Corey missed the most, I'm sure. Usually when I listen to the podcast, I have my AirPods in, but this morning I decided to play it out loud as I left for the gym and work. And my lovely wife overheard the Zaxby's bit in the beginning of the podcast, and she goes, "What? I need to listen to this podcast now." That's because my wife loves Zaxby's ever since I took her there for the first time last November when we were visiting my dad during Thanksgiving. So now you've got her seal of approval, boys. Question time. What are your thoughts on the wide receivers so far? Everything I've read so far is that they're making plays but also still making silly drops and errors. Corey, wide receivers. We talked about them a little bit the other day. plethora of talent, all sorts of different kinds of talent, versatility. They're going to drop the ball. I mean, you're not going to catch every single one. I'm not alarmed by anything I'm seeing from the wide receivers. I feel optimistic and hopeful for them.
Yeah, it's a matter of injuries. Kendall Briles talking about he doesn't like their scholarship numbers, and now you had Thompson in a non-contact jersey. Gavin might have been dinged up. Obviously, Tamorian's not even been out there. So I wonder how deep they are, if they can afford a few injuries. But I think the top level guys, the top dudes, this is really, really good. It's a good group. Terry's an NFL player. I think Keyshawn Helton's going to play in the league for 10 years. I just think that guy, when you watch him, is different. DJ Matthews is good. And then you got guys like Thompson and Harrison, Adams, if he can ever get back out there, and Jordan Young. There's a lot of unproven talent, let's put it that way. But I do think they're good. I think they have a chance to be really good.
Okay. Really?
I don't like the fact that Corey is taking Keyshawn Hilton away from you, Aslan. Because you were the guy that lived for life. Live for life. You were the guy. You walked out of there and you said, I was there thinking this was pointless. Who cares what we just saw? But you walked out saying Keyshawn Hilton's my guy. Yeah. And then Corey just stole him from you.
I mean,
I did.
It's like me. I'm just waiting for you to fall asleep behind the wheel and take Akeem Dent away from you, Ira. So it's a circle of life on Word Chant right now.
The receivers, I think they're going to be fine. And, one of the things I like about Dugans is, really, if you watch them at practice, there's a lot of attention to detail. He has them working on a lot of different drills. They spent like 2 minutes the other day or 5 minutes the other day just lining up and looking at the ball, basically what you would do in high school, like somebody yelling hut, but making the receivers actually look back to the ball and not listen for any sounds, avoiding those pre-snap penalties. And so I think they're going to be really good. The talent is there. I think it's a good group. I think the drops, part of it is, again, like you said, part of it is you're going to have them. You guys were talking on the show about Keith Gavin. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. And, I don't know. I think we're catching the ball, having soft hands I don't know how much you can improve on that. You either have them or you don't. So I don't know if you ever feel like he's going to be a guy is going to make the tough catch or even sometimes a routine catch. So that concerns me about Keith Gavin, but I love Jordan Young. A lot, really, all those young receivers, Warren Thompson. It's been a good camp, I think, for the receivers.
Yeah, and I'm not going to judge their blocking on Noel drill. I just think that I think they have the talent, to Corey's points that he's been saying on the show throughout the last few weeks here, is that, you've got slot guys, you've got rangy physical guys, you've got speed burners. So they have pretty much everything you want at that position, obviously, and I think it's being developed properly. To your point now, Ira, I think Ron Dugans is an upgrade at the wide receiver position. I saw him walking back to the line of scrimmage the other day with, I think maybe Keith Gavin, and was just telling him about, defensive backs are looking for tells. They're looking for keys, things that receivers are going to do to help them determine whether they're going to come out of a break or if they're going to try to breeze by, and basically saying your pad level and your eyes, like keep your pad level low. Just things like that. We didn't hear or see that kind of really, nitty-gritty, micro-level kind of coaching going on with receivers last year. So, the fact they have that going on right now, it seems like they're in good hands. And again, that's got to be maybe the most deep segment on this team right now. So I feel good about the receivers. Mr. Gibbs adds, before he leaves here, an over-under ACC-related question. Mac Brown, over-under 3 seasons at UNC before he realizes he's been out of coaching too long. He's going to take the under, he says. What say ye, Corey?
Yeah, I'll take the under too. Well, 3 seasons I think is a perfect number. I think he'll be there 3 seasons. But if I had to guess, I think it's more likely to have 2 than 4. So I'm going to say the under.
I'm with you there. I think I have a hard time believing he's going to be there 4 years or more, and I don't think he intends to. I think this is kind of a, hey, let me help right the ship, get things on solid footing, and then move on. I'd be surprised if it was just 1 year, but I think 3 is most likely, and 2 would probably be next most likely.
Okay, very well. He does.
What about you?
I'm going to go ahead 3 years. I think I'll say over. He'll go there. He'll be there for 4 years. He'll see through. He'll ride the Sam Howell train until the wheels come off the Sam Howell train. Then he'll go off and ride it to the sunset. I think that's the smart play if you're if you're Mac Brown. Also, Maxwell Gibbs, one final thing. What would it take for Corey and Aslan to record a video of the two of them singing the hit song Old Town Road? Corey has to wear a cowboy hat for this, by the way. Might I suggest if Florida State beats Boise by at least 2 possessions? I mean, you could suggest it.
Zero.
Not happening, though. Not happening.
Yeah, zero.
That song has brought so much joy to so many people. I'm not trying to ruin it. No.
I would do Islands in the Stream with you.
One thing about the Mac Brown thing I was just thinking about, I think the fact that he's able to sign players, because they were recruiting really well.
Yeah.
The fact that he's able to sign players at his age totally dispels the myth that coaches have been trying to, perpetuate in their agents, that the recruits have to believe you're going to be there 5 years. They're not going to, if they don't believe you're going to be there 5 years, then they're not going to sign. I mean, how many of those kids, A, believe he's going to be there 5 years, or B, really care? I think most of them, they're signing with the school, the opportunity, and the head coach. But head coaches leave so often now. I just don't think that matters as much as it used to.
Yeah,
just wanted to throw that.
Everyone's on that 3-year plan. Our boy Amari Gainer, redshirt freshman, already thinking about what weight he wants to be at for the combine and the draft. So, the 5-year window is long gone. Back to the questions. Back to warchant.com's Tribal Council. This question comes from Bimini Bound. What's up, guys? Somewhat optimistic tone. He prefaces this with, where do you stand with optimism right now? Personally, I have to keep it in check because around this time last year, I was asking you guys, how many points is too many points to score against the opposition? This year, I'm just going to watch what happens. That said, I did finally pick up some season tickets, so that is an indication we hit rock bottom and we have nowhere to go but up. Who am I kidding? In 2 weeks' time, I'll be drinking all the Kool-Aid, for better or worse. There is a lot of new that can right the ship. Corey, you start us off because you just penned an entire story about optimism.
Yeah, man, I think there's a reason to be optimistic, but I think you need to be cautious with it. Let's be fair. You need to be cautious. Don't get the tickets to Charlotte just yet. I don't know where the playoffs are this year. Don't buy tickets in that city either. But I do think there's a reason to be cautiously optimistic and expect to see 8 or 9 more wins. But more than anything, expect to see a better coach team, a team that's more disciplined, that's more fun to watch, that can actually create first downs. All those things are on display. Will be on display this season.
Okay, very well.
Let me ask you one question. So, this promotion you mentioned earlier that we have, the flash sale, I think it's a great deal. And just to plug it one more time, it's if you subscribe to warchant.com, which is $99.99 or something for a year, you get that's a beautiful look, Corey. Looks like you're looking at a fish tank. You get $25 off, so you're 25% off, so it's basically $75. Then we give you a $75 gift code to Adidas and to the Adidas store, and then also a $25 gift card to Garnet Gold. So you basically make $25 for subscribing to Warchant for a year. That thing is, they were tremendous response yesterday. Gene posted that yesterday. We got tremendous response, signups, people, tons of people. No, it's a good deal, but it's also, I think it shows, it's reflective that there's some excitement again right now. And I'm curious what do you think changed? Because like a month ago, Corey's offensive line story, for example, if we put that up a month ago, man, people would have just shredded that story, shredded Corey, just not believed any of it. Now, there are some people who are still skeptical or wait and see, but a lot of people are fired up. Like, do you think it's just they've had a chance to hear from Kendall Briles directly? They've seen some of our reports. What do you think changed, or is it just the proximity the season's about to start? The mood on the boards is completely different than it was just 3-4 weeks ago.
Corey, you want to go, or do you want me to talk about it?
I mean, I think obviously we've seen a week, so we see how they're coached a little differently. I also think recruiting helps. I think when you keep landing these kids like they've landed, that builds some momentum and some excitement about the future of the program. And yeah, man, I think some of it is just that what we see and what we tell people is how different it looks. It doesn't mean we're expecting 10 wins or 9 wins even, but this first week of practice just looks different. All of us would agree with that from what it looked like the first week of last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, Ira, I think it's the proximity to the season. I think no matter what, no matter how jilted or jaded you get, when you get this close, when you're 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out from the start of the season, you start believing again. I think some of the video stuff, the reports that we're talking about, because, I mean, you guys have been around the program covering it inside and out for over a decade each. I mean, heck, I already close to 2 decades. So I think people know,
old Ira.
People trust your guys' judgment and what you see. And I think ultimately when you're a fan, you look at the fact that you've got probably an upgraded quarterback in James Blackman. You like what you're hearing about Kalen LeBourne coming off injury. You like what Cam Akers brings. You like the wide receivers. Tamorian Terry is going to be a breakout star, household name we're assuming. You just brought in one of the best offensive coordinators in the nation. His offensive line coach, every time you see him coaching up an offensive lineman, he seems to be clapping and having enthusiasm and feeling good about what they're doing. So you're saying to yourself, like, we have all this. All we need is the offensive line to come together. And you're seeing some pieces, some proof, some evidence to kind of piece together. And so, yeah, why not dive headfirst into it? You should be optimistic. I'm the skeptical guy, but like, if you're a fan, what's the point of going to a season thinking that it's going to be horrible? Not saying that you should think that you're going to Charlotte, but yeah, why not believe you can maybe, sneak a couple wins that maybe you weren't going to put in the column in May, and then think you can get 10 wins. So I think it's all that sort of stuff. Nice.
Yeah,
Let me talk, Ira. When you fall in love and you get your heart broken,
this is what you interrupted me for.
Absolutely. When you fall in love and get your heart broken, you don't just say, "Hey, I'm not going to fall in love anymore." Then life won't be worth living. Love is what life is all about. So just because you got your heart broken last year doesn't mean you can't let the wall down a little bit. Let it crumble just a little bit and let this football team in and see if you build a love affair with it. All right, Ira.
Well, I like to say that it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. And that's something I say. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's pretty catchy. I never heard that.
But yeah, no, what I was going to say, I think it does also give you an idea that maybe, and again, if you're David Coburn, if you're Florida State's athletic director, if you're watching this at your desk, it might give you some hope, some optimism about attendance after that Boise State game, because I kind of felt like people wouldn't even get excited until they saw some proof against Boise State. Well, if they're already getting excited now, I think there's a chance that, man, and if they look decent or good against Boise State, people might be flocking back to Doak Campbell this fall. It could be they could come back quicker than we thought.
Okay.
You can sit this one out if you would like to, Ira. We usually have to take some nonsense stuff every now and then. This one comes from Primetime 92. Corey, Aslan, you guys are the best. Wanted to ask an off-topic question. What is your most awkward / worst dating story? By the way, Aslan, about 3-4 months ago, I saw you at AMC taking a girl to the movies. I did not want to interrupt your swag and say, hey, go Knowles. Yeah, that was a weird one, that one. Don't judge me on that one, please, by the way. It was a long day, man. I think I've only had one really bad date. I thought I talked about it on the show. Basically, like the Cliff Notes ended up going out.
We don't need to.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't?
We don't need to hear that.
I didn't?
No, you definitely did talk about it. I remember it.
Yeah. I went out for a drink with a young lady. Turns out she had been emancipated from her family, was divorced, and actually had a kid at home by himself under the age of like 10 that she left a $20 bill with to get pizza for the night for dinner. So I got a check and took her home promptly, in which case she had a meltdown on the way back. So that's my worst dating story. But I live to tell about it, and I've opened my heart since then and tried to love again. So it's all
there you go.
It's a good story,
And I don't really have a bad dating story. Like, I haven't. This is weird, but like, yeah, I just don't. Like, I guess I'm one of the long-term dudes. I never really dated. Like, Stephanie was kind of the first person anyway, I'm not even getting into this. I don't have any embarrassing dating stories.
Punt alert, send out the punt unit.
What with these questions?
Next question comes from the Tribal Council, comes from Big G _95. Good morning, gentlemen. Wake up. It's been a while since my last Renegade Express message. I know Aslan and my main man Corey miss me. I miss the homies too. Anyhow, I have a lot to say in a little bit of time. First off, football season is finally here. I love all the coverage you guys are providing, from the raw footage to the player and coach interviews to Corey and Ira's interviews. I do, by the way, have a couple of things on raw footage that I love and some things that I hope you guys can improve on. I love the tight ends and the offensive line combo blocking on the sled. I love the quarterbacks and the wide receivers running the routes. I really love the Knoll drill, but in the footage, we could barely see what was going on. We need better angles. Luckily, I was able to see the drill elsewhere, but I won't say where because WarChant.com is my site that I ride or die with. Also, can we please
join the club?
Yeah, can we please stop showing Coach Kendall Browse's hand signals? We don't want to give our opponents any cheat sheets. He loves everything. He loves everything. We'd be here for the rest of the day talking about how much Big G loves everything. So,
all right.
Well, yeah, we'll try to get better angles to the best of my ability of what I can do. I'm glad that you love all the content and everything, and Ira and Corey's wrap-ups. I will say that this is what happens with the hand signals with Kendall. I don't mean to show him doing it, but what happens is we only have a finite amount of time to be out there and film, and I need like all the footage for when, you know, Ira and Gene and Corey do the War Chant report with Jeff Cameron. So like I need footage of you know, Kendall Browse doing his thing, but I'll be filming them doing a rep. They'll get done with it, so I'll shift over to get a few seconds of a Kendall Browse shot. Well, in that time, he's starting to signal in a play, and then I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be showing that, so I go back to the action, which is not a good thing. It's just a weird sort of, I don't know, like reflex action. Yeah,
wrap it up.
It's a weird reflex action, man. So I'm not trying to show Louisiana Monroe the hurricane that awaits for them that's about to blow them through. Bad analogy, bad metaphor. Anyhow, next question. These get better. I promise you, Ira. Don't run away yet. Don't run away from us yet. This comes from Cleve Dog FSU 22. Wake up! I earned the nickname Cleve Dog from my Marine Corps brothers. My last name is Cleveland. I am from Spartanburg, South Carolina, hometown of Seminole legend Chip Ferguson and Everett Dawkins.
Okay, all right.
Gentlemen, I am super excited. The reason why I am so excited is because, one, college football season is about to start, and two, FSU is going to be the sleeper team this season. I knew with the addition of Clements, Browse, and Dugans that our offense would look a whole heck of a lot better than it did last season. I see that the coaches are really working on blocking technique and getting the tight ends involved as well, something I did not see last year. What I am also witnessing from the videos is the maturity level from the players. Also, that's something that I didn't see from the team last year. All of that being said, I see the Seminoles going 12-0 or 11-1 this season.
Okay.
So that's Cleve Dog. Cleve Dog feels it, man. He's feeling it right now. He also tells us that he says that his favorite meal at Zaxby's is the Cobb Salad. Tells Aslan, stay away from it. It contains bacon, my friend. I also try to stay away from Texas toast because it reminds me of Jimbo. LOL. No, I just try to stay away from the carbs as much as possible. I love the show and the humor. We're really funny. We should do stand-up comedy, he says.
Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about the carbs though. You can just get the grilled chicken breast sandwich, and the carbs are totally guilt-free, man. Ira likes the grilled chicken sandwich, but yeah, see, there you go, Ira. That's the optimism, man. They're feeling it. They're seeing what we're reporting, and that's where the optimism sort of takes root from. And
thanks, Cleve Dog, for your service. That's awesome, and for being a big fan of all the stuff we do. I think the 12-0 seems a little optimistic. Seems a little over the moon optimistic.
Would you say delusional, or is it just optimistic?
I'm not going to say delusional. It's probably unrealistically optimistic.
If it happens, though, we're all taking Cleve Dog to Zaxby's.
No doubt.
Absolutely.
For a whole year, we'll take him whenever he wants to go.
At least a month's worth of Cobb salads. Yes. At least a month.
Absolutely.
All we could do. All right, next question comes from Tommy Hawk Chop. Wake up! I love Zaxby's, but I've gained 5 pounds since they became a sponsor. May have to limit my visits to your podcast days. My health is in your hands. I listened to an interview about the Boise State game from a writer that covers the Bronx. He claims the strength of that team is their O-line and D-line. He puts O-line and D-line in bold lettering. Plays against our two biggest weaknesses, defensive end and offensive tackle. What have Briles and Barnett done in the past to compensate? This game is really shaping up to be the fulcrum of the season. That's a good word choice. Does a victory mean 9 wins is most likely the floor? Beat Boise and you win 8 out of your next 11. That's your floor. Or 8 out of your next 12 with a bowl game.
No, I feel like it's a great start. But again, you just don't know how seasons play out. I don't know that I don't know that beating Boise means you're definitely going to win 8 of 11. I mean, it's just, like I said, I think NC State, Miami, at Clemson, at Florida, probably 1 or 2 other games, at Syracuse at home, those are all losable. and I just don't think you're gonna win, 60 or 70% of your coin toss game. So I still say that wouldn't be the floor, but if they win that first game, 9 wins is definitely doable. And maybe even probable. Would you say it was probable if they won their first game?
It gives them a good chance. It could be probable. I mean, as you were saying, the first game just rarely ever is an indication of what a team's going to be. Think back to again, Francois got hurt, but the 2017 team, nobody thought they would have a season like they did. The way they played Alabama at halftime of that game, you're thinking, man, this team's got a chance to be great. I don't know that you can put that much on it, but I think it. But like you said, it sets things up. It gives you an opportunity to be in that position. I've started to like them more and more against Miami at home. That earlier was a game I thought was a game they really could lose. Now I think that's a game they're going to win. I like them against Syracuse at home. Syracuse never plays well here, but there's still, probably at least 3 other games they could easily lose. So I don't know that 9's certainly not the basement. And it might be probable if they win that game.
I totally forgot what the question was, and I was the one who read it. I don't know. I think the Boise game, I think there's so much. I think this game is definitely such much of a springboard opportunity. I mean, I think back to, when I spoke to Phil Steele earlier in the week, he mentioned that when he spoke to Taggart this offseason to do the preview magazine, that Willie talked about the hurt the team had, the betrayal they felt because Jimbo left. And I get it. I guess obviously I don't have, I don't put as much blame on Jimbo as most other people do. But the betrayal they felt, the disappointment, the not totally buying in, I think they probably buy in a lot more if you don't score just 3 points in that opener against Virginia Tech. If they come out and they would have beat Virginia Tech, scratch by them somehow and won 27-24, I don't think they feel as betrayed. I think they probably buy in a little bit more. I mean, that said, they beat Boise. I think there's so much optimism and hope that, they'll feel and belief and confidence they'll get from it that, you win 8 out of your next 12 games. I think that's fair. But you got to beat Boise first. I don't think it's going to be a gimme. What they've done in the past to compensate for those sort of things, I don't know. Probably run inside zone stuff if you're going to have to worry about your offensive tackles being a liability against a good pass rush, draws, things like that. We'll see. It's a different personnel they have. They're playing in a different league. We'll see what they're going to try to adjust to with their their lack of sort of production they have at those positions or whatever. They're going to a 3-4. Harlan Barnett's going to a 3-4. Man, there's your your compensation right there.
Well, here's the thing. He's right about Boise State, their strength being in the trenches, and that's something to be aware of. But they're totally rebuilding the skill positions on offense. And they lost some guys on defense as well. So it's not like they're bringing back this stacked team. They've got holes just like Florida State does. And you'd like to think that if your strength at Boise State is veteran offensive and defensive linemen, you still like your chances with the quality that Florida State has on the line of scrimmage. Now, maybe not across the board on the offensive line, but I'd like to think Dante Lucas can match up with some fourth-year guy at Boise, and that Marvin Wilson, obviously, and Robert Cooper and Corey Durden and those guys can hang with Boise State's offensive line. So, we'll see. I think that's where the game's probably going to be most equal, but you got to think Florida State's going to have a big edge on the edges, I would think.
Corey agrees. Next question, he says. Next question comes from Easy Knowles Fan 74. Wake up! You guys are awesome. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, hometown of Charlotte Flair. Woo! Stephen Curry and 90s R&B group Jodeci. Wow, that's strong.
I didn't know that. Yeah. No, Jodeci was from North Carolina.
Here goes. I understand the hype with Clemson is now the top dog of the ACC. Trust me, I hear about it a lot here in Charlotte. If we can go into Clemson 5-0 or 4-1, I truly think that we have a shot at beating Clemson. On paper, we're right there. Plus, keep in mind that this is only Clemson's second year beating us in recruiting. Your thoughts? By the way, Cam McDonald looks like a beast. Thanks and go Noles. Corey, Clemson. Come on. 5-0 going to Clemson? Come on,
Cam McDonald definitely looks like a beast. No, I just don't think they're. I don't think they're caught up to Clemson yet in Death Valley. I don't see that being. Imagine if they went in there and won after what happened last year. Would any team ever made up more ground in one season on another team? Clemson could have scored 80 in that game. and then you go up there and beat them. I know Clemson's not going to be as good defensively, but I just think that's going to be, as I like to say, that's going to be a problem, that game. Whether they're 4-1, 5-0, or 0-5, I don't think it changes much going into that game. But it would be cool for Florida State to be 5-0 or 4-1 going into a game like that and be like the game of the week again, to be relevant for a week and maybe be the college game day game. That would be good for the program and for Willie.
I'm with you. Aslan, you agree?
Well said. 5-0. Although I don't like, would there be so much more of a letdown if they were 5-0 and they lost to Clemson that like wheels could come off after losing that game? Like, would they believe in themselves so much and get so hyped up that like they lose that game and then they kind of fall into a tailspin? Like maybe they're better off actually being like 3-2, or and then they lose that they're 3-3, and then they can maybe go on a run and get that game past them, and then just go on a tear. I don't know.
No, we don't buy that.
Okay.
Now I think losing at home to Syracuse or something like that would create some doubt. I think losing at Clemson, I don't think is going to be a disaster.
Yeah. That'd be crazy though. I mean, if they were 5-0, that's probably game day. That's all sorts of questions. Like Willie Taggart's got this thing turned around already. Went into the season, with his job being talked about, and here they are 5-0 in Death Valley playing Clemson. It's a nice little thought. I don't think it's going to happen though. But hey, dream. That's what you're supposed to do. You're a fan. Enjoy it. Next question, Doke FSU 1. Good morning. Have you tried the Wings and Things meal at Zaxby's? It's so good. We actually talked about it the other day. Yeah, if you're indecisive, folks, try out the Wings and Things meal at Zaxby's. You get the chicken fingers and you get bone-in wings. What else could you ask for? His question, if you had to place a bet on which part of the team you think has the biggest improvement for this year, would you choose O-line, special teams, or defense? Love the show. Listen to every episode. From East Tennessee. Got to place a bet. Biggest improvement. O-line, special teams, defense.
Special teams. Special teams.
Is that Corey Clark sarcasm?
No. Why would it be sarcasm?
Yeah, I'm with Corey on that.
I'm going to say offensive line. I'm going to say offensive line.
My order would be special teams, offensive line, then defense.
I'll say offensive line, special teams, defense. Final answer.
You think
we're all on record?
I mean, you realize special teams could be good, and it was just as bad as the offensive line last year. I don't know. Is the offensive line going to be good?
Well, I guess it's an easier fix. The special teams just wave your hand up in the air and just call for a fair catch every time. And
there's one right there. That's a huge one.
Actually, just be coached. Yeah. Actually, have a plan.
Yeah.
That
doesn't. Yeah, because it's not like Florida State was running out subpar athletes at special teams. They had really good athletes on special teams that just didn't know what they were doing. Offensive line, we don't know what kind of players they have in relation to the rest of the AC.
That's fair. I mean, what I was thinking more.
We don't know.
What I was thinking more along the lines of is that I still think Logan Tyler's wildly erratic kicking the ball. Same thing with Ricky Aguayo. So I don't know how much I don't know if Ricky's going to start being some guy that's going to hit 85% from 40 yards and in. I don't know if Logan Tyler's going to get more than 2 seconds of hang time on his punts 80% of the time. So I that's the stuff I don't see improving, which I think is the biggest issues, and you really can't coach it all that much. And again, the offensive line was just so bad that they have the largest room to grow. So I would imagine they would be the ones that could fulfill that. But to your guys' point, it probably is easier to clean things up on special teams than it is the offensive line. So next question. Keeping this thing moving. We're doing a good job, folks. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 if you're not a member of WARCHANT.com. But do check out the website right now for the information on the flash sale. Get you that $75 Adidas e-card and the $25 gift card to Garnet in Gold. Knowles fan from South Florida says, "Wake up!" in my ESPN 30 for 30 voice. What if I told you that an FSU legacy would help restore the linebacker tradition at Florida State University, and it was not Derek Brooks's kid? ESPN presents Vroom Vroom, the Amari the Ferrari story, coming up next on ESPN. In all seriousness, he's going to be damn good. Very overlooked player on the team. That is all. Go Knowles. Corey, you wrote about as much, did you not, earlier this week?
I did. He's certainly got all the measurables and all the physical ability you would think to be a pretty dynamic guy at that position. Can run, is rangy, long, and really physical, to the point that I know you guys remember, but the first practice they had last year when he was an early enrollee, I think it was in the spring, he was basically slamming folks to the ground, and they had to be like, man, calm down. But that's how fit. And hey, I'd rather say whoa than giddy up. That's just me. Like, I'd rather say that. If I'm on a horse, I'd rather say whoa than giddy up. So I get it. So that's a positive in my mind, is you're having to tell that guy to calm down. They had to do it with LaMarcus Joyner too. So I just think he's got the mindset and he's got the physical tools. We'll see how good he is, but you think there's really a lot of potential there.
I just had this vision of some writer in College Station, Texas, trying to figure out what "dog don't bite when he's a pup, dog won't bite when he's a dog" means, or
right. They're in Texas, man. They talk like that. They write.
Anyway, Mark Gaynor's got a lot of talent. There's no question. The thing that, I think you have to watch out for, and Willie Taggart has mentioned this several times, and I think Harlan Barnett mentioned it the other day. Anytime his name comes up, everybody brings up maturity. And they're saying, he's learning to be mature, which kind of tells you that maybe a year ago he wasn't. And, I think you also can glean something, as Aslan mentioned earlier, that when he was asked about his weight earlier this week, you can watch the interview at warchant.com. When Amari was asked about his weight, he, within a few seconds, turned to what he wants to weigh when he's getting ready for the draft. And he's played like 16 snaps of college football. The key with him is doing his job, focusing, being responsible, and being accountable. But the other day, yesterday I saw him out there with the ones. It looked like he was with the starting unit. So he's going to play a ton, and they have some guys who have some physical limitations at linebacker. He's certainly not one of them.
Would you say that he's more of a show dog or a hunting dog?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think maybe last year, maybe more of a show dog.
Right.
But EJ was one of the. Maybe EJ was. Did Jimbo think EJ was a show dog? He wanted to let us know he was a hunting dog.
Yeah,
that's not just a show dog.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Ira, you have a daughter who's in college. Aren't you telling her to plan for her corporate takeover and not focus on her first job out of school? Like, that's Amari. Amari's just thinking. He's thinking ahead, man. So you got to envision it. He probably has like a dream board in his room, and he just has pictures of the draft and Roger Goodell. See it, be it, believe it, achieve it.
As long as he knows he has to make plays here first.
Or start a game.
Yeah. That would not hurt. All right, back to the boards. Next question comes from TallyNoll123. Their first post, they joined July 29th, 2019. Hopefully they got in on this great deal that's been going on. Their first post, wake up. I need to get better at my wake up. Corey, you might need to help me out with some of these. He says, or she says, perhaps, I am optimistic and believe the Noles will win 9 or more games this year. If they win 10 games, Zaxby's should give a lucky War Chant subscriber free Zaxby's for a year. Keep up the great work, boys.
I don't know about a year, but definitely like a month or a weekend.
All right. We'll look into it. We'll see what we can do. Florida State University football. That's where we're at right now. 10 wins. You get free delicious food for a month. That's where we're at.
If they win 12 games, then if they go 12-0, then I think a subscriber should get their own Zaxby's franchise. Just seems they give away a store.
Rename the Zax sauce. Next question comes from MFA 1169. Wake up! Appreciate the work. Ira, they all do wait. I have to say it, man. I got to keep up with the brand. Appreciate the work you guys have done over the spring and summer. There are 2 players I hear very little about to this point, A.J. Litton and Ontario Wilson. Litton was a Rivals 100 player coming out of high school, and the few opportunities Wilson got last year, plus a spring game, he's looked pretty good. What are you guys seeing out there so far with these 2 players? Thanks, and keep waking up early for practice for us, Mr. Clark. Go Noles.
Yeah, I like AJ Litton a lot, and he's a guy that I've thought about the fact that he's kind of overlooked when we talk about those defensive backs. But I think he's a guy that can really play, and I think he will play. We saw him some last year as well, but he does kind of get lost in the shuffle between the guys who are starting or projected starters, and then that wave of true freshman defensive backs that everybody's so excited about: Akeem Dent, Brendan Gant, and Travis Jay, and so he's kind of caught in the middle there. But no, I like him a lot. Who was the other guy they mentioned? It was AJ Litton.
Ontario Wilson. Pokey.
Ontario Wilson.
Pokey.
Yeah, he caught my eye the other day. He had a nice play. I don't know. It might have been I don't know if it was in Knoll Drill or if it was in. But I remember writing his name down on my little notepad. So yeah, he's had some injuries too. I think he was limited. He's been limited by some injuries, but he's definitely talented. He I think was when he and Tamarian Terry are from the same high school, and I think some people liked him more than Tamarian originally. Like there was a lot of excitement about him as well. So there's no doubt he's got talent. And he's played both sides of the ball.
By people, I hope you don't mean people paid on the staff. You just mean other people in the industry, I hope?
Before we knew what they were, because, man, remember, nobody knew anything about either one of them. Okay. But he was the first name he was the first name that really came to my attention even before Tamarian Terry. I mean, I think he was dynamic in high school. He returned a lot of kicks for touchdowns, I think. I'm not sure who had the bigger stats in high school. Obviously, Tamarian, looking at him, is a guy you'd project. But I think Ontario had a lot of big stats in high school, both sides of the ball.
I just don't know if he's like a guy without a home kind of a thing. It seems like he came in as a defensive back, but he's been working with the wide receivers. But even though they don't have the scholarship numbers at wide receiver, it just still seems like they've got a bunch of guys there. But they're the same predicament, if you will, at defensive back as well. So I don't know where he fits into it, but he does make plays. It does seem like every time you're out there, he does something pretty good with the ball in his hands or away from the ball.
Didn't he start a game or two last year? Like, I think when Nooney, I thought, man, I have to go back and look. I really thought he started at least one game last year.
I'll check it.
So I think they like him.
Yeah. Corey, say something so I can do some research.
So anyway, the worst date I had.
By the way, let me give a little trivia. Ontario Wilson, his nickname is Pokey. Nobody on the team calls him Ontario. They call him Pokey. And the reason why is because I think it was his grandmother. Somebody in his family thought he looked like a Pokemon character when he was born. So that's why they call him Pokey. So Pokey Wilson.
Pokey, so it's not Pokey, Pokie.
I think it's EY.
Wouldn't it be EY? Isn't that how you spell Pokey?
I think that's how they would spell it. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Ontario Wilson. Yeah. He started against Virginia Tech. He started against
started the opener.
Who's ST on the schedule?
NC State, maybe.
All right, yeah, he started against them as well. Yeah.
There you go.
Look at you, Irish O'Fell.
So my point is that obviously there's some respect for him in the program. Is what I'm saying. Right. But the productivity hasn't matched it yet. But I think it's partly because of injuries.
He started. I was about to say he started more games than Marvin Wilson, but no, Marvin ended up starting the last 3 games of the season. Finally figured that one out. That was kind of cool to see. Next question, gentlemen. It comes from, obviously, the Tribal Council. We're taking all the questions from our subscribers over on warchant.com. This comes from More to Pride 0850. That's a long one. They joined on Tuesday. They've only posted 2 messages. Wake up!
All right.
I'm a long-time listener, just joined War Chant this week. I know football season is right around the corner, but got a basketball question for y'all. Realistically, how many more years do you think Coach Ham will be at Florida State, and do you ever see us getting back to the Final Four? As always, thanks for what y'all do. Keep up the good work.
I would say, didn't he just turn 71? Is that right?
We'd have to look that up. I'm not sure.
I think he just had a birthday. He's like 70 or 71.
I'm stat boy.
Man, you would think 4 years is about what we're looking at for Leonard. And then, hey, he would have been, I don't know, what had been 23 years at Florida State? I mean, a long, long run. And, yeah, man, look who gets to the Final Four. Florida State 2 years ago was like a basket away from getting to the Final Four. Last year, I still believe if they're fully healthy, if Kofer's on that team and is healthy and Nichols can play, I think they might get to the Final Four last year, too. Like, in so much of it is getting hot at the right time. Yeah, man, I think Florida State could certainly get to the Final Four again in our lifetimes. You got to give yourselves chances. Get to the tournament, you got a chance.
According to the internet, he just turned 71 on August 4th. So happy belated birthday, Coach.
Mm-hmm. So 4 years, right, Ira? You wouldn't think he'd be coaching into his 80s, would you?
I mean, I wouldn't put anything past him because the guy has amazing energy and amazing youth about him. But he, I would say 3 or 4 years. Unless they win it all, then maybe he goes out on top. But we kind of joke about it, but that is the goal. I mean, they're not trying to get to a Sweet 16. I mean, the goal is not to get to an Elite 8 or a Sweet 16. They're furious. The coaching staff was furious that they didn't make the Final Four 2 years ago, and they're really upset about those injuries that kept them from going last year. So yeah, I think that's what their goal. Their goal is to win it all, or at least get to the Final Four and give themselves a chance to do it. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they did that over the next 2 or 3 years. It really wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I have nothing to say. That was perfect, guys. Let's go to another question. We're moving right along here. We're going to probably wrap up here in the next 15 minutes or so. That'll be our 1 hour mark. I'll either type out some responses, or perhaps Corey and I will answer these on Monday's edition of Wake Up War Champ. Back to the boards. Back to a question. This one from Noel Biz says, since we are basically through the first week of practice, do you guys see an overall improvement in the – man, Corey, you need to have your headphones. I can keep hearing myself echo through you. Do you see an overall improvement in discipline and organization coming into year 2 under Taggart? For instance, anything that would support Phil Steele's observation about year 2 under new head coaches? If so, would you attribute most of that to the new coaches, say the Browse effect, or simply guys settling into the new regime overall? First, I don't want to be rude, and I appreciate like Phil Steele coming on the show. Like Phil Steele, I think literally knows, a good amount about every FBS team that he previews in that magazine. But I mean, I think what he said about second-year head coaches and taking a step from year 1 to year 2, I think that's just anecdotal kind of cliche stuff. I don't think there's anything specifically to who Willie is or what he's done. Because Phil Steele hasn't been at practice to see anything. I think it's just one of those things where you feel confident about the talent, this program, the tradition of what they are, that you've had one bad year in the last 40, so you're going to bounce back in year 2. That said, I would say organization for sure. Discipline, I don't know. I mean, I never thought they were undisciplined at practice, really. I mean, they got in a couple skirmishes, but who doesn't? But organization-wise, I've said the word functional. I think everything just flows a lot better. They're going from one drill and then applying it to something that's quite game-related the next. That's my beef with the Knoll drill. I just don't think the Knoll drill has any sort of translation to what you do in a game. I understand you hit each other, beginning of practice, warm up, get excited, but you can do a couple different things than this weird 3-tier block that no situation in football ever works out to be. But I will say for sure on organization, discipline to be determined.
Ira?
I think, look, to me, a biggest problem with anything that leads to undisciplined play is guys not being bought in. And that, you can talk about culture and any vague term you want, but at the end of the day, if guys are taking swings at the other team, like we saw in a game of 2 different guys getting thrown out for taking swings at guys, it means they don't really care. They're not really invested in the overall success of the program. They just care about themselves and how they feel in that moment. I think signs that you see progress is things that we've written about on the site. If people are reading the updates in practice, if you watch the offensive line, Brady Scott, Bavion Johnson, Ryan Roberts, they're correcting people. They're making sure guys are doing the right thing if they're not doing the right thing. Same thing in other segments. You're seeing guys step up, and Marvin Wilson, and just the other day we were interviewing Kalen Laybourne, and after we were done interviewing him, he walked over to Alex Marshall, the backup tight end who was walking on the field, and just walked up to him quietly, not for our gratification. He just walked up to him to the side, and he said, "Hey man, time to go make some plays." Just like you're seeing leadership. Asante Samuel. There's a bunch of guys on both sides of the ball that I think are tired of losing and are invested and want to do well. Now, if things go south, I can't say that that's going to last. I mean, if they don't play well, if the team doesn't do well, I think a lot of times that stuff goes out the window. But for right now, I think it's all trending in the right direction.
I think Keyshawn Helton is one of those guys too. Even though he's a true sophomore, I think he's a guy that really takes an interest in how his teammates
ownership
and tries to get them to start playing the correct way.
All right. Oh, geez, what just happened there? Sorry. There's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm just like a hamster on a wheel over here. Ira, though, you can finish your thought.
Well, I think there's a lot more of those guys this year. And Willie made the comment the other day, and I know anybody can roll your eyes and think it's excuses, but he made the comment that you would hope when things were going poorly last season that the seniors, those are the guys you kind of count on. The problem was those guys had all come to play for Jimbo in a totally different system, didn't really sign up for this staff, and when things went south, they were done. And that's not to blame it on them, but they weren't going to be the guys that pulling the younger guys through. You'd like to think that the guys who are here now in year 2, I just think you're going to see more ownership. Again, if things go south, there's no guarantee, but I think that's the positive so far is what you're seeing.
And as for who do you attribute or why do you attribute the changes that we have seen out there? I do think. For me, speaking for myself, I do think a lot of it is Kendall Briles. I think it's the new coaches. It just because Willie has talked about needing to change some things, talked about ego getting in the way, letting go of play calling, but there's just been so many little things that have changed too. It's hard to believe that it's all just introspective thought and this is what I'm going to do now. I think there has to be input from the other coaches about we'll do this during this period and then we're going to go to after that period we'll transition to something else. Everybody gets mad at me because I keep talking about the music. I think there's something to it. It's not a whole lot to it, but there's something to it. The fact that it's not being played as loud, the fact that it's not being played every single day, the fact that they're being able to get coached harder. There's all sorts of little different things that have happened that it's hard to think that one single person brought all those ideas to the table. I think it's all the new voices, whether it's even like a guy like Mark Snyder moving positions or Odell having to take more guys in the spring. I just think there's got to be more voices being heard at the table at this point. And you have to listen to everybody that's on your staff when you go 5-7. You can't be too proud to block anybody else out. So that's my theory. Who knows what that really meant. I'm just talking and trying to keep this thing afloat, gentlemen. Next question as I try to pull it back up here. Mr. Clutch 1992 says, wake up, but he uses a whole bunch of A's, a whole bunch of K. I don't even know how to pronounce that. The great Corey Clark gave us a wake up not once but twice. Gentlemen, it's the best time of year again. 5 days a week of wake up war chant, colder weather right around the corner, and oh yeah, football is back. Our offensive line has been steadily going downward since the likes of Irving, Hart, Mateus, Stork, and Jackson. Question is, has anybody talked to Willie about our offensive line communication? I remember the great 2013 team and the offensive line pointing out reads, talking at the line of scrimmage, and communicating extremely well. Ours look like they don't know even what the next guy to them is doing. Would like to hear Willie's response. Yeah, I'm not asking that one. He already doesn't like me, probably. Keep up the great work. 5 stars, Zaxby's for life. 10-2 this year. Losses to Clemson and Florida. Top 5 recruiting class for Willie. Next year is the year, guys. Keep the faith.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
I think about the communication with 2013 is you have to remember it was 38 seconds between snaps. So they all had time to point out this guy and that guy and where the Sam is and where the Mike is and that guy's looking like he's going to blitz. Like that's all that was communication. In this offense, when it's going well, how much can you communicate when you run up to the line and snap it? Like literally, you kind of just have a job, right? There's not a ton of communication when you have 9 seconds between plays, right?
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be a lot less. But also, Landon Dickerson getting hurt last year was big. He was the guy that would kind of tell everybody else where to be.
You mean Landon or Benedict Dickerson? Benedict Dickerson, yeah. Right?
That's what you want to call
traitor.
So if Florida State wins the national title, does he get a ring?
Oh, we'll ask. Maybe Willie. Will Willie ask Dabo what he should do if he should give him a ring?
Yeah, or
But
not?
when Landon Dickerson went down, I think that was the end of the road for communications on that line. I mean, you had guys lining up next to each other who didn't know what they were doing, let alone tell somebody else what to do. It was just a disaster. I think that'll improve this year. No, I don't know that they're going to be markedly like it's going to be a great offensive line or the best in the country, as James Blackman said this week. But I think the communication, is going to be much better.
That's all you can ask for. Communication. Let's talk to our fans, our viewers, our listeners, our subscribers. Big Steve 22. What up, fellas? Thanks as always for the amazing coverage. Before entering spring, I was predicting 10-2 or 9-3, with Florida State winning a game we were not predicted to win and losing a game we shouldn't. I think with the right motivation, that is achievable. Given the program's always bring in motivational speakers, if Willie asked you guys to come speak to the team prior to kickoff, what would be your big motivational speech?
Oh, boy. I would probably just steal the one from Pacino in that football movie he did. What was the Any Given Sunday? Yeah. Well, he's ripping off like God, I can't remember, Bart Starr, Vince Lombardi. Like I would do my best Pacino.
Good Pacino, Corey. Good job, man.
Probably what I would do. That would be my motivational speech.
I'm gonna pass on. I'm gonna let Corey do the pregame. I'm gonna do the halftime speech and go with the old traditional Bobby Bowden defense. If they don't score anymore, we win. Every time they had a lead, that was his halftime speech. Defense, if they don't score anymore, we win the game. So that would be my role. Now, if they're behind, I got nothing.
Well, no, if they're behind, you go offense. If y'all don't score, we don't win. We got to you look at the scoreboard and do the math. We got to get ahead of them.
They on Last Chance U, they did that at halftime. The defensive coordinator was like, listen, man, you don't know what happens if they don't score, we're going to win. I'm like, oh, look at that. Bobby Bowden echoing in Independence, Kansas, just the way he thought his legacy was going to live on. I would take Rex Ryan's speech from Hard Knocks about being right, playing right. Can we have fun? I demand we have fun, but we cannot be a bunch of jagaloons out there. But he uses more colorful language, and I would end it either with "Now let's go eat a snack," or I would end it with Marvin Lewis in Hard Knocks with the Bengals, like back in 2007, where he's like, "It's your team. Find a way to fix it. Reach down inside and be a bleeping pro." That to me is the best line I've ever heard. That's the line I would use whether I was coaching girls basketball or Division I football. I'd be like, it's your team. Find a way to fix it. Reach down inside and be a pro.
Okay.
Next question. C. Baxley 1212. Gentlemen, wake up. Love the show. Love you guys and the humor and entertainment you bring to the show while giving insight into our beloved Knowles. But I also enjoy your thoughts on life, your takes on television, and events like dates and trips to Cleveland. But I must admit, as much as I enjoy you, about a month ago, 5-Star Chauffeur liked one of my tweets, and I felt like I finally arrived. So there you go. All right,
there you go.
Make
That
it
happened.
Finally an hour of hearing how great Wake Up War Chant is, and I finally get somebody who has some sense. So I appreciate it. Appreciate it, buddy.
You're part of it too, You're the driving force. You're my editorial
Small
compass.
part, a real small part.
Sabaxley says, I am just curious, in a quick brief overview, what is your routine on game day? How does it differ on away, neutral site games versus what you do for a home game? My work schedule does not allow me to make the Friday night Spears and Cheers event at the Surfer Bar, but I was wondering if you were doing any other type of tailgating for the Boise State game. You guys are great. Keep doing what you are doing. You've answered this before, Corey. What about you, Ira? What's like your routine? Let's say 3:30 kickoff, Doak Campbell Stadium.
Get there at 11 p.m.
Corey doesn't like how early I arrive. Sometimes I'll arrive kind of early for a game. I just, if it's 3:30 at Doak Campbell, I'm probably there by 12:30 or 1. And then, but before that, I'm just hanging at the house. The problem with stopping by tailgates, and this is something thankfully in this business we get to meet a lot of people, and so many fans have tailgates and they want you to come by just to kind of have their food. They want to give you something. They want, hey, come by, we're going to give you some great food and beers or whatever. The problem is we can't go out there and just sweat to death in the parking lot and then come up and cover a game. So it's not great. It's not conducive to that. Now, I have worked with some people. I'm not going to name their names, but I've worked with some. Corey has too. We've worked with some people in this business before who like to indulge down at the tailgates and then come up and cover the game. And if they sobered up by the third quarter, it was all the better. But it's hard to do much tailgating on game day. Now, if it's a night game, we can swing out and do a little bit. Remember, we also had our.
Uh-oh. I think we just lost Ira. Did we lose Ira?
Fine. All right. He was going on some nonsensical story nobody wanted to hear. Let's go to the next question.
This is a crazy thing, man. Like, now Ira's face is going to be frozen on the screen pretty much the rest of this show. So maybe we'll just take.
Maybe we'll just we'll cut it short then.
Yeah, maybe we'll have
to. You can't have that staring at me. Oh, I see his eyes moving. Are you back with us?
Wow.
Is he back?
That was crazy.
Is he back? Is he back?
Was I the only one that was frozen?
Yeah. He's back.
Oh, that was nuts.
Zombie show
You guys froze on my screen. Yeah. Sorry about that.
I filled out the rest of your story.
Yeah, so we used to have to do this pregame show out at the green before a game. It was ridiculous. I mean, it was one of the top 5 dumbest things I think we've for like 6 people that would watch on a live stream.
Yeah, we get like 11 viewers and do that until 30 minutes before kickoff. It's wonderful.
So, now we'll see you Friday night. If you can't be there, maybe after the game.
The next question is we're not having a question. It's from Souza _ZP, which is he's a good guy, but basically just tells me to do my job better. You can't hear the audio quality and stuff. So I don't want to go too much into this. Like, there's literally 5 different things I can do to like try to improve the audio quality, improve it. But it's going to make somebody upset. Like there's really somebody like, well, now this sounds off, and then someone's going to like it, but then it's like I don't know, it's whack-a-mole. I'll fix something, but it'll create another problem, and then people won't like that either. I think our audio is probably the best quality out there. So maybe at some point I'll have an intern that can just hold the boom mic the entire time, but that's not happening anytime soon.
Is he talking about on this event or talking about practice?
At practice. Says, I don't want this to sound negative any way, shape, or form. You guys are my favorite FSU outlet, but I know you guys are making a little extra money these days. When we get
That's true.
Can we get better audio quality or production on the interviews? Understand the copyright stuff for the raw footage, but I can barely hear the player interviews. Maybe 5-star Ira can help. Love you guys from San Diego, California.
You want me on the case.
Yeah.
Doing some AV work? Yeah, that'll fix everything.
That's your specialty.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think you can hear the players quite well, man. Give me examples. Souza, give me examples. Like, direct message me on War Chant. Like, send me an example of, like, this is bad. Or you don't like it, and I'll see what's wrong with it and if it's fixable. How about that? Solutions-oriented. That's what I do. That's what I do. Next question. Let's go back to the boards. Is going to come from Mr. Standby. God, this mouse. Be Smooth 48. Wake up, gentlemen. Love the show, fellas. Keep up the great work. He also means you too, Ira. A couple questions. Is there anything more accomplished when the team travels down to IMG for practices? He's got a whole bunch of small little questions, so let's start off with that one, Ira. Is there anything more accomplished than just practicing when they go to IMG? I mean, they can't, like, we thought this was some, like, big, bold chess move, game changer, like, ooh, they can recruit and practice, but I don't think they really can they?
I mean, it's a dead period right now anyway, so no, they can't be recruiting. But, I mean, it doesn't hurt for those players that are IMG. I mean, some of the best players in the country, for them to know Florida State's on their facility. They see the Florida State buses with the cool wraps on them and everything. So there's some possible tangential recruiting help, but no, the biggest thing is just getting away and kind of spending some time together. I think that's, the number one goal. Whether or not it's worth $300,000 or whatever it is they're spending, I think that's around what it was last year. That's certainly debatable. My guess is this might be the last time they do this. They had to do it for 2 years if they were going to do it at all, so that's why they're doing it second year. But, yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just spending time together away from, girlfriends and friends and all that stuff.
Also asks, has Bolden switched positions? Isaiah Bolden, I imagine. I haven't seen a white jersey with 29. I've only seen 29 in garnet with the wideouts. Thanks, guys. Be Smooth 48 out. I don't think he has.
I don't think so. I saw Bolden get a little dinged up on the first day or second day of practice where he had to walk immediately into the IPF. So I don't know if that's maybe why he hasn't been seen in position drills.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest position to track, whether or not somebody's there or not, because there are so many of them, and the way they run the drills, it's not as easy. We almost never seen them lined up in positions. They're just like in a mass of 20 guys, so it's hard to keep track. But I'll look for that for sure tomorrow at practice.
Okay. Next question, Tenant. We only got a few more left. We're doing a pretty good job, Jen. We'll take two. Let me see actually how many more we have left.
Two sounds good.
Yeah, we got two more. We literally have two more. Actually, we have one more and then a compliment from Deb in Jacksonville, who's the best.
I'll read that. I'll listen to that.
Compliment for me.
Yeah, for all of us. Yeah, if you're Ira, man,
all of us thing isn't really cutting it.
It's the royal. It's the royal we, as Corey likes to say. This question comes from Birmingham, Alabama. Tennis ump. Wake up, guys. Love the show. What is your over-under for points scored per game and points allowed per game? All right, over-under. All right, so I'll set the over-under on points per game at 29.5 and points allowed at 27.5. I don't know. Are those good lines, or Ira, you want to set the lines? You're better at these things?
No, I mean, I was thinking 28 or 29 for the over-under, and I'd probably go over, but I don't think you could set it at 30 or anything over that. I do think they're going to score around 30 a game, maybe low 30s. The line for the defense, I think I would have thought they would have gone a little lower than 27. Maybe I'd set it at 25. Okay. But I'll be honest with you, and so much talk, and I've touched on this a little bit before, but there's so much focus on the offense. The defense would be, if not my top, maybe it's my top concern going into the season. I am because I don't think we'll be able to know anything. I think we know that the offense is going to be better based on, as we talked earlier, based on just the improvement we've seen from the offensive line, the better coaching, the track record that Kendall Briles has, the track record that Randy Clements has, and Ron Dugans. And we know the talents that is there at the skill position. So I think that's why we feel good about the offense. The linebacker, the issues on that side of the ball, I don't know that we'll have any idea how much better they are until we actually see them play games. So I'd say the number would probably be out of 24 or 25, and I'd probably put it over just because – until we see what those linebackers and defensive ends do, because those hybrid defensive end linebackers guys, it's hard for me to say that this defense is going to be a very good defense. I don't know how you would predict that.
You can't. And when it comes to the offense, it's just like, imagine November, Kendall Briles looking at the stats and seeing one of his offenses averaging 28.6 points per game. Like, he wouldn't know what to do with himself. I think it's a lot of lonely nights for him. I think it's a lot of going into his yard and staring up at the moon, saying, what just happened? What's happened here? I don't think that computes. I've said it before. I don't think it computes with him to have an offense averaging under 30 points a game. He won't know what to do.
How about this? Over under 2.5 games that Florida State doesn't score at least 24 points.
That's I wouldn't say it's likely, but
2.5. I'd go.
I'd over. I think I'd
go over that. But I also think they'll have some games where they actually score 40 and 50 points. Hopefully, maybe, possibly.
All right, let's go out on this one then. It's our last question, but it's not a question. So it's a nice little message from Running Knoll. Running Knoll's been part of the tribe on the Tribal Council for a long, long time. December 2nd, 2003, the join date. She says, wake up! Just wanted to thank you for the awesome coverage of SNL, recruiting, ACC Media Days, and the start of practice. Love all the videos and raw practice footage. Appreciate you getting up early to placate the masses. You guys are the best. We look forward to seeing you in Jack's Beach. So,
okay. There we go. We do what we can. We do it for you guys.
For you too, Ira. You're at SNL. You help out with the recruiting. You're at ACC Media Days. You're doing all this, man. You're part of it.
You're going to Bradenton?
Yeah.
You're going to IMG?
Damn.
Yeah, anybody in the Bradenton area, recommend somewhere that Ira and I should go see the sunset at and have a nice little dinner together. It'll be great. Looking forward to it.
Hopefully it's not red tide like it was last time.
Let's hope
Oh,
not.
man. That was awful. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Man, that was
disgusting.
awful.
It still smells. It still feels like it's on me.
All right, so Florida State's off today, Thursday, as we do this live stream. They'll be back at practice on Friday. Is there anything that people should expect to see on warchant.com in the next day or so, Ira?
Ooh, lots of coverage, buddy. Lots more coverage. We've got and some possible recruiting stuff. It sounds like they got a commitment last night from a running back down from your neck of the woods, right?
Lawrence Toafili from Pinellas Park High School.
Yep, exactly. And so that's your second running back commitment in the last week. There's another prospect out there that we think might be pulling the trigger soon for the Noles. So that's something definitely to look out for. And we've got a couple more stories coming from the interviews we did earlier this week. And then we'll be back out there covering practice tomorrow. The one difference on Friday, if you're checking in the rhythm for the site the last week or so, has been these early morning practices and interviews by 8:30 in the morning. We've had videos up from players and coaches. Tomorrow they're starting in the afternoon, right? Is that 2 o'clock or I think in the afternoon?
Yes.
So, so you have to
yeah.
wait a little longer to get your fix of your practice updates and observations. Well, I think it'll be a good day for observations tomorrow. We didn't have any the last practice or two, but we'll be back at it on Friday.
All right. Check it all out. For Corey and Ira, I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up with you all on the next edition of Wake Up War Chant or in moments over on Tribal Council of warchant.com. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Unlike fanny packs, bowl cuts, and Troll Dolls, the sensation is back, only at Zaxby's. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich features hand-breaded chicken, Asian slaw, wonton strips, and citrus vinaigrette, and both are served with an egg roll. The Sensation Salad and the new Sensation Filet Sandwich meal for a limited time only at Zaxby's. And skip the line when you order ahead on the Zaxby's app or on Zaxby's.com.